It was a wonderful day. It was a beautiful day. And the fact that our media and our so called leaders should turn that into something that was hideous, that was about Jew hate, I think makes you just really want to turn the whole lot of them off. So, like many of you, I think the last couple of weeks has been pretty awful. I haven't been sleeping that well. I'm sure millions of people have not been sleeping that well with the awfulness of what's been going on. And the awfulness has just so many levels, doesn't it? I'm going to start with the march, and I know that's the simple thing, that's the one that's happening here, because like many people, I went on a march. In fact, I went with my kids, I went with my grandchildren, and what I saw there was a very diverse, and not just, by the way, racially diverse. People always think you're saying that, but diverse in terms of kind of socio-economic. Um, I was in the Jewish bloc. There were, I don't know how many Jews. I mean, it's impossible to count, but the Jewish bloc was pretty big. I only saw, I mean, they're saying it was estimates of between 100,000 and 500,000. I would say it was more like 300,000. It was massive. It was certainly the biggest march I've been on since Iraq. And there were lots of children actually, and I saw no signs of trouble. Now, what you've got to think now is that even if we take the lowest estimate, that's 100,000 people, there were 9 arrests. So from 9 arrests, we have been called a mob, we've been called racist, we've been called jihadists, we've been called Jew haters. Many people there were Jews. What was interesting, of course, is that when you look at the photos of the march, they very much home in on a certain kind of profile of people. I didn't notice, for example, any of the Jewish bloc getting any actual publicity from the mainstream media. And what they do is they'll have a whole load of pictures. They won't show you the children who were there, the families who were there, the doctors in their scrubs who were there, the teachers who were there, the ancillary workers, the fire brigade. They won't show you any of that. They'll show you, and this reflects their own prejudice, of course, young Muslim males, often doing things like you do at a festival, like standing on top of a bus stop. I even really hardly saw anybody wearing masks. Suddenly, masks has become a big thing. I saw, I think, 2 people with keffiyehs over their faces. And to tell you the truth, given the kind of persecution people have been getting for having gone on this march, I'm not surprised they were doing that. Now, we're told, on the one hand, that Jews, not many Jews or most Jews or some Jews, but that Jews are hiding in their rooms, that they're scared to go to school, that they're having to be guarded. I have to tell you that none of my Jewish friends are in any way scared or frightened. So what you seem to have is that some Jews, and they're Zionist Jews, seem to be frightened, that fear is in itself being weaponized. But yesterday, I caught this on Twitter. Now, just have a look at it, because what it shows is a Jewish school in London singing the national anthem of Israel. Well, the children are singing the national, waving Israeli flags, and it was posted online. Now, I found this very confusing because I thought to myself, surely, if these people are scared, why are they doing this? I know in my grandchildren's school, you never, ever, ever put pictures of your children on any social media, even if it's for Christmas or if it's for Halloween or whatever it is for. So it's really odd what's going on. It's like this topsy-turvy world where lies is truth and truth are lies, and there's a lot of that going on at the moment, isn't there? another set of lies, which is that what happened on October the 7th, which was, of course, it's awful, absolutely awful and terrifying, and, you do actually have to feel that to experience that would be terrifying and awful. One of the worst atrocities that's ever happened in world history. Who said that? Boris Johnson. In fact, it's being said a lot that this is like another Holocaust. It's another Holocaust. Who said that? An Israeli minister. Now, how you can actually compare what happened on October the 7th with the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews and 6 million other peoples were exterminated in a planned genocide, how you can actually compare that? I think it's sick. And what the ambassador did, he actually put on yellow stars. I mean, it was like, honestly, I felt kind of almost embarrassed from them, but I actually felt disgusted about it as well. And what I'm wondering is how somebody like Karen Pollock can write in The Guardian. Karen Pollock, by the way, is a chief executive of Holocaust Memorial Day. And she writes in The Guardian the fact that we should really be understanding of Jews when they think about October the 7th, of comparing it to the Holocaust. Really? I mean, should we really? Is it comparable to the Nazi Holocaust? Is it comparable to the millions of Africans and indigenous people who had their breasts ripped off, whose vaginas were used for experimentation while they were alive and without anesthetic? The millions of babies who were taken away from their families, the people who were put into cannons and shot through the cannons just for the, interest and delectation of their masters. Are we actually saying that the people who were killed and abducted on October the 7th are up with the indigenous people of the Australias, New Zealand, Americas, basically being cleared from the surface of the earth? This is what is going to be actually the destruction of race relations between people, because on next Holocaust Memorial Day, I want you to see this is what Holocaust Memorial says is the definition of a genocide. Now, anyone who doesn't agree that that's what the Palestinians are going through at the moment shouldn't be working for Holocaust Memorial Day. And for me, unless that is accepted in Holocaust Memorial Day as a genocide, I will have no interest in actually acknowledging it in any way, because it becomes clearer and clearer that those state funded institutions aren't actually there to say never again means never again for everybody. It certainly doesn't mean never again for the Palestinians, does it? It's never again for the people that our leaders, our establishment, are backing. But if you're black or brown or the wrong religion, fair game. It's collateral damage. There was a very interesting question raised on the radio yesterday when somebody said, look, It's terrible, isn't it? It is absolutely terrible that these babies are going to die in incubators, that children are being blown to pieces, that whole families are being wiped out, that 70% of the casualties in Gaza are women and children. But we have to get Hamas. We have to get Hamas. And the interviewer actually said to him, now, if these were kidnapped Israelis being hidden in Israel in underground tunnels, and to get to them, the Israeli army had to kill 8,000, 8,000 so far, and counting, half of those being women and children, people. Would you accept that as being collateral damage? Because if you can't, then what you're saying is that there are some people who are more human beings than others. Let's go to this Hamas thing. I mean, honestly, I just get so sick and tired of the whole Hamas. I actually started to conjugate it the other day, you know, Hamas, Hamo, Hamar, Hamartum, Hamar, Hamam. You know, because I just get sick and tired. They just think the only answer to everything is Hamas. Interestingly, have a look at what's happening in the West Bank at the moment. Whole villages, Palestinian villages, being cleared by these barbaric settlers with the backing of the Israeli army, with the backing. And so far, 36 children have been killed. 36 children. Hamas has got nothing to do with that. Are we interested in that? No, apparently not. Because actually we are told very, very precisely what to be interested in, what genocide matters, and the value of every single person. And there's real destruction happening to race relations between Jews, between blacks, between whites, between Muslims, between all people who feel that they are being ignored, that they are not part of this hierarchy. I mean, I'm reasonably comfortably off. I'd say now, these days, I'm pretty middle class, really. I certainly feel that I know my place as a black person now in this country. When I'm told that, 1,500 deaths of Israelis is as important as the millions and millions of my ancestors who were murdered and raped, whose children were torn to pieces, where families were torn apart, not just for a year or 5 years, but over generations upon generations. The people, the descendants of whom are still pretty much on the bottom of this pile. And how it must be to be a Muslim in this society at the moment, I don't know. I don't know how they don't feel so angry, because I would. We've seen the figures now. Apparently, out of 30,000 British Muslims polled, only 6% are now saying they'll vote Labour. I'm amazed it's 6%. I would call on every black person, every Muslim person, anybody who stands in solidarity with oppressed and excluded people, not to vote Labour. Now there's going to be more and more marches. There's going to be more and more deaths. They're not going to stop this. They're not going to stop. We need the next march to be 1 million. And I know it's, like coming out every Saturday. It's hard. But just think of those babies in the incubators. Think of the need for peace now. Think of the betrayal of the Labour Party to all minorities. And get out there and march.